Unisa has interdicted the Minister of Higher Education from placing the institution under administration. A few hours before the announcement, the Pretoria High Court ordered Dr. Bladen Zemande to withdraw the notice. A damning report by independent assessor Professor Themba Musia reveals financial misconduct and maladministration by Unisa's management. It details how millions of rand were misused under the watch of both the university's council and management, and further recommends that Unisa be placed under administration. Let's get more reaction on this topic. We're now joined by Mametlwe Sebei, who's a senior lecturer in the Department of Jurisprudence at Unisa. Mr. Sebei, good to have you on the program this evening. Now, considering the recent court ruling, can you elaborate a bit further on specific aspects of Unisa's governance or even management that you believe need immediate attention for the university's overall improvement?
Well, let's get these matters into perspective. One is that there has been problems at Unisa for some time. There was ministerial report that was, there was ministerial task team that was appointed to investigate the situation at Unisa. That task team delivered its report in 2021. Now, since that report, which identified a whole host of problems, which I think are very genuine and very legitimate problems, ranging from administration, governance issues, financial, misappropriations, and as well as, issues around student support, and many of the issues that, of course, students will be legitimately concerned about, workers, communities would be concerned about insofar as Unisa. Now, since 2021, there's been drastic changes in the management of the institution. We have the new VC, and I think the, whole lot of people in the executive management of that university. But also, I think a number of changes have taken place across the governance of the university. And the result of which has been an effort to turn around the university. And I think, in my view, the results are there in a number of ways to see from every audit of the university, from the Council of Higher Education institutional audit to, of course, rankings of the university by Department of Higher Education research output ranking to international rankings, which consistently point out to improvements of the university over and above and improved financial situations. That says there is turnaround, and that says we need, of course, to mobilize the entire university community, particularly the workers, the students, academic, to make sure that we truly reflect on the state of the university, but also how then do we transform it into an institution that can provide a quality, accessible education for the students, but also engage in socially meaningful scholarship that can uplift communities and improve humanity.
So some of the aspects I'm picking up from you is that while acknowledging that there are problems at Unisa, things seem to be turning around. But as a senior lecturer, how do you think the recent court ruling actually impacts the university's overall standing and also its future?
My correction is that I'm not a senior lecturer, actually. I'm just a lecturer in the university. But safe to say that that report, right, and I think this is what the court is saying, that the minister cannot take any further steps pending the determination of two judicial review applications that are before court. One is a review application by the council to challenge the appointment of an independent assessor, Professor Musia. The second is the application by the VC to challenge the process of the investigation and the findings thereof, right? So, and we've got to recognize there was so much irregularities in the appointment of Musia. One, he was not even on the list, or rather panel of independent assessors of the Council of Higher Education. Two, he was conflicted by the long-standing relationship with a very senior official in the university who was implicated, including, by the way, in the scandals around overspending in the house, the procurement of the vehicle, and so on. And over and above that, what that report did, it actually missed an opportunity to provide a very constructive reflections on the current state of the university, which would have contributed meaningfully to overview of the state as well as recommending the way forward. What Musia did, he misused that report, he misused the status in order to conflate issues, particularly with a view to obviously absolving people that are implicated, that people that he has a very long-standing relationship with, and of course, confusing issues in a way that when you look at that report, you don't get a sense of where is the university at currently. In what direction is university traveling? Are we getting west? Are we, marching downhill? Or is the situation being turned around? And I'm saying, you just have to look at the financial situation, right? University had, the reserves at 9 billion rand in 2021.
Yeah.
Today, the reserves are standing at above, 16 billion. Why has that been the case? It is because this management has been on a clamp down against, misappropriation and, of course, mismanagement of supply chain, processes, including tenders that would have costed the university hundreds of millions of rand. And what concerns me about the decision of the minister is, for instance, when it takes the view of the independent assessor that says that number of procurements that should have been done through tender, and this management decided it has to be done through HR process, where the staff, in case of the laptops, are given the cash to go and procure the laptops in an open market.
Right.
A decision that saved university over 400 million, that was wrong, and instead such procurement should be conducted through tenders. And this in a country, by the way, where we have learned just about a week or two ago that this very government, Ed Bujanala, procured 2 laptops for 2 million, meaning one laptop costed about, 1 million rand. Mm-hmm. Now, when people say that management of university is in violation of supply chain policies, what people need to understand is that what the independent assessor and the minister in support of him are saying is that tenders which are costing and are collapsing public services everywhere are more preferable forms of procurement. And I say that these are tenders that have turned a university into sites of accumulation of the tender-preneur aspirant black capitalist class at the expense of the academic project and the research mission of the university.
The claims that you also highlight are simply jaw-dropping, to say the least. Now, to stick to your last point, in addressing these financial challenges at Unisa, do you think there are specific measures that the university should take to ensure long-term financial sustainability without exactly compromising the quality of education there?
Absolutely. One, I do think, we have to end all forms of outsourcing. There was a heroic struggles that were waged by the workers and the students, particularly in the aftermath of, the fees must fall. It was called #outsourcing must fall, that ended tendering and outsourcing of securities, of cleaning, and a number of services. But there are still services that are outsourced. One thing that has encouraged me and that I think has informed the position that I've taken in defending what actually is happening at university is that there is an effort to end outsourcing, and we've got to agree. Tenders are destroying public service. Anybody in this country who in this day and age does not recognize that must be living and inhabiting a different planet. Now, we are saying that there are services, like, for instance, canteens and others that are still, of course, being outsourced. We say that those must be brought under university administration, must be fully insourced, and part of that is to ensure that we eliminate corruption around tendering, around outsourcing, and so on. Because when you look at universities, the problem is not lack of commitment to the academic and research projects by the academic staff and the students. The problem is the subversion of this project of the university, is the subversion of this core business of the university, right, by the tenderpreneur interest that we see everywhere. And that's the reason in institutions like Fort Hare, you have a situation wherein the VC is fully guarded, and even bodyguards are being killed. By who? These are just not ordinary people. These are people who are clamoring over billions that are supposed to be providing a quality public higher education for our youth,
right,
and of course, a research that can contribute to society. And unless we eliminate this, we are not going to be able to preserve higher education. And I'm saying that the solution to that is not the government taking over universities. If anything, every indication is that this government, and of course the state, has been the problem in collapsing the public institution. What do we need? We need the workers, the academics, the students of the university to step forward and to fight for a democratic space, including in the governance of the university in a form of council by electing representatives and delegates to the council that would ensure that they defend the quality of the quality and integrity of our academic program, of our research mission, and of course, ensuring that resources of university are channeled towards improvement of the student support, ICT system administration, as well as ensuring that there is accountability in the financial and, of course, institutional management of the university.
You highlight a very important issue regarding stakeholder involvement. But how do you actually envision this collaboration that you speak of between workers, academics, and students to even reflect on the university state? Are there specific forums or initiatives that you would propose for an inclusive dialogue here?
Look, there are. I mean, you know, students are organizing, university workers are organizing trade unions, and so are the academics. We also have a number of forums. There's no shortage of forums at university and so on. There is, you know, SRC, there is student movements, and I do think that all of these organizations, at least at their foundation, I've been a student activist myself, I'm a trade unionist, and I have absolute faith in the capacity of our class, of its movements, to rise to the task, because at the very foundations of this, of course, is their commitment to ensuring that we create university that is just and fair and can provide a decent conditions of employment for the workers. It can provide a quality, you know, public higher education for its students. It can engage in a way that its scholarship, its research contribute to upliftment of community and humanity. And I do think that this is a commitment of our movement. That is not to say that we haven't had problems. In fact, when you look at that report, what is evident is that some of the trade unions have become compromised, are part of the problem. But that is not a reason to turn our back on the workers' movement. That is all the more reason we are challenged to appeal to the rank and file of the trade union movement to say, this university is yours, it belongs to your communities, it belongs to your society, and therefore, you have a special responsibility as people that are in the university, but also as people that are leaders of organizations, to ensure that your organization do what is just for society, and that is to defend university as a public institution that has a mission and a commitment to provide education, particularly to the working class and poor students. And I think, by the way, you know, these signs that are promising. I mean, I've seen the statements that is coming out of, you know, I think the SRC, but also the national SRC, you know, SAUS and all those things and so on. I know that, you know, a number of unions at university have, you know, begged to differ on the issue of corruption, and I think they are trying to take a stand on that issue. And I mean, even in terms of management, there are a number of issues or the number of efforts that have been done. Just to give an example, right? I've spoken about how the financial position of the university has improved from the reserves of 9 billion to 6 billion. And you can begin to see efforts that are being made in terms of support of, you know, the students and so on. Like just in a college where I am, which is a college of law, in the subject which I teach, across the university they've introduced weekly classes, right? With the provision of weekly classes, in the first semester, the subject I teach, the pass rate improved to 90%, right? Of course, the weekly classes has created a crisis of, you know, overwork for academic staff. But even that is being addressed. The College of Law alone, I've seen in the past few weeks, they have advertised about 50 academic posts, professors, associate professors, lecturers, junior and senior, and all of that.
Yeah.
And that shows that the money is beginning to filter, the money is beginning to be plowed on the quality of the student support, on the quality of the academic project. And I do think that this is a project and this is a commitment that needs to be supported, and that is the reason that all of us must rally behind. And I do not see how the decision of the minister to place the university under administration is going to help us. By the way, you have seen that about I think it's about a few weeks ago, the University of South Africa received, it was awarded to be the top performing company in the country in the university sector by the publication Top 500, which rate top 500 companies in the country. Now, these kind of awards obviously don't tell the story. There are real problems of student support, of administration, and a number of others that are identified in this plethora of reports. However, what these awards and many other reports, the Council of Higher Education, DST Research Output Report, International Ranking, what they do point out is that the situation is improving. And I think there is absolutely no reason in that situation for university to be taken over.
Mametlwe Sebei, he is a lecturer at Unisa, giving us some insight and wrapping up what's been a very insightful conversation. He's a distinguished Unisa lecturer in the Department of Jurisprudence, and we looked into the recent court ruling and gained valuable insights into the critical aspects of Unisa's governance as well as management